Oklahoma State defensive coordinator Brian Nardo is the best DC on the recruiting trail in Mike Gundy's entire tenure at Oklahoma State University.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. We are available on all of your podcasting platforms as well as visually on YouTube. You can find me personally on Twitter at AllDayOState. Today we were brought to you by FanDuel. And if you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, spread the love, spread the word, because if you do, you might have been part of the crew that showed up to Stillwater this week. My son had a baseball tournament in Wichita. My other son just recently had a birthday, so we got to make a fun little trip. A lot of back and forth, right? 30 some odd hours of driving, but it is what it is. It works out. Whenever you have a successful trip, it's even better when it's accompanied with phenomenal news. And we got some of that. Oklahoma State defensive coordinator just secured another defensive commitment that will also be roaming the secondary, potentially probably in the safety room, and David Kabongo. And whenever you look at his film, you can see that the intelligence is off the charts. He beats wide receivers to routes on a very, very consistent basis, which is why he was an interception machine in high school. That even in his sophomore year in varsity, he had 5 picks, like 70 tackles. He is certified, and he's been this way for a while. And if, we're always looking for the comp train, if I'm to have a comp for David Kabongo, it would be 2, right? If you took the Punisher from Oklahoma State, Lucian Antoine, and you combined him with Justin Gilbert, I think that's precisely what you're probably going to get out of David Kabongo. He can play every safety position, and realistically, I do think that he would have the capability to possibly play corner as well with how good he's able to manipulate the route running for the defense. He allows them, right, to run the routes, but he'll cut them off short on purpose, right? You heard me talk about the scissors concept multiple times, right? Whenever you run the scissors concept from a slot receiver perspective, whenever you're cutting to that flag, it's supposed to be at a certain depth, right? Usually 13 to 16 yard range. And whenever you make that cut, it's really, really important that you do it based off the timing that you've already established with the quarterback. Well, when you see the IQ of somebody like a David Kabongo, see exactly what route concept is coming, and he purposely scoots them up to where they have to make that cut at like 11 yards instead of 13, 14, 16 yards. Well, now everything's screwed up. That route is no longer the route that was supposed to be part of the tree for the quarterback. Throws off the timing, it screws them up, makes them double pump, and it also allows other DBs to come in underneath. These are some of the reasons why he was a very sought-after guy. And the beauty of it is he wanted to commit to Oklahoma State a while back. He fell in love a long time ago, but he wanted to go through the entirety of the process because that's the most intellectual way to go about it. And we're talking about the intellectual ways of decision-making. Ladies and gentlemen, this young man is the epitome of what you want at your university. And now, I'm not saying that because I watched film. Obviously, the film part of it is the football part of it. The non-football part of it is what this young man says. And shout out to the regulars in the Twitter sphere and the regulars on the show. Thank you very much for a lot of you showing up to Stillwater. I had a blast. It's the first time I've been to a bar in years. I met some amazing people. I had a phenomenal time. I had a phenomenal night. And afterwards, we were able to get Lando Cleveland, we've done a video on. I will tag it. And now we also have David Kabongo. They were both on a Twitter space last night, right? So the guys who you see on the Twitter for Oklahoma State all the time, talking shop, talking recruiting, talking sports, talking coaching, everything, They got to hear these young men speak. And these young men are very, very eloquent. They know exactly what they're talking about. They can tell you the differentiation between the defenses they're in right now, the defenses that we're running right now at Oklahoma State. And the biggest thing to me was both of them, because for a while there, David Kabongo was having some issues with his microphone and whatnot, right? So we got to ask them basically individually without them being on the space at the exact same time while David was working his stuff out. So we got basically some of the best answers, and they were all revolving around Brian Nardo and that the new reinvigorated Cowboy culture is alive and well. They can feel it at practice. They can feel it when they're on campus and when they're just hanging out with the guys, right? Here's the deal. Whenever you're on your recruiting trip, your guys that give you the tour, basically, more often than not, those guys are here because they want to be here. More often than not, those guys have already gone through all of the potential where I could go if I transfer type of stuff. And so these are the guys that you want representing you in the university when these kids are on campus. And of course, by and large, they're going to say positive things. But there's a big difference in saying positive things and then going into an at-length description as to why Oklahoma State is better than some of the places that are on a lot of these guys' list, like Arizona State, like Arizona, like Colorado, like Texas Tech, like Kansas State, SMU's on some of these. But the biggest takeaway from both of those young men discussing their recruiting process in Oklahoma State and what it was like and what coaches were on them and what lured them into Oklahoma State, both of them talked glowingly about Brian Nardo. Yes, we've done several videos on how Brian Nardo's probably going to be the best DC we could have ever imagined. But when you hear it from the guys that are committing to come play, it hits different. It is different. I could talk till I'm orange in the face about how great I think Brian Nardo is. And we can go back to several videos. But these young men feel it. Everything Brian Nardo is talking about is really relatable to them. Not just the youth, not just the personality, but the knowledge of the game was very impressive to these young men. The knowledge of what everybody should be doing at all times, regardless of what style of defense is being played. It's one thing to say, hey, you're going to come play this. It's another thing to say what you're doing in this defense currently when you do X, Y, and Z is going to benefit you when we move you to this style of defense. It not only gives them a glimmer of hope that they can do a multitude of things when they come play big boy college football, but it also lets them know that their coach is going to put them in the right position moving forward. Guys, if David Kabongo ends up at corner, which I don't see likely because I do see him bulking up a decent amount, he hits like a Mack truck all daggone ready. Like I said, the Punisher, Lucian Antoine, and mixed in athletically with the Justin Gilbert, you got this guy. And he's going to develop even more. And here's the, goodness gracious. Okay, real quick, I got to let everybody know about FanDuel. I mean, you already probably do know about FanDuel, but the question is, have you given yourself the opportunity to maximize your dollar bills? Right now, you can go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to get yourself hooked up with our no sweat first bet. It is your opportunity to get your hands on the $2,500 that you could potentially get back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So you get on there and you go bet money. And then if you don't win, guess what? We give you bonus bet money. It's the bee's knees of the betting world, and we all know it. So again, help me, help you, help yourself. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now to get your hands on our no sweat first bet. Again, this is $2,500 back in bonus bets if the first bet does not win. And we all know, as far as Oklahoma State is concerned, we're going to hammer the over. We're going to absolutely hammer the over, okay? All right, so we'll get back into the conversation that me and my buddies Jason and Shannon and Logan and Ryan and Creek was able to come through. I'm a little mad. Okay, so Trent, David Shaw, when you hear this, you are in timeout. Those are two gentlemen that decided not to make the trip down to Stillwater, so they're in the doghouse. Give them as much crap as you physically possibly can. I'm just kidding. Don't give them too much crap, but let them know next time, unacceptable. But last night, all of these guys, plus we had a decent amount of people hop in that aren't exactly regulars in the Twitter spaces, and they got to hear what these gentlemen had to say, not only about Oklahoma State, not only about Brian Nardo, but we've talked earlier in the season about what happened last season, okay? We don't need to retrace that step. But what happened last season was what it was. Everybody knew coming into this season, it had to be different. There's no way we could repeat what we did. We had to change some things. We had to adjust some things. The Cowboy culture has been around for a long time. The Cowboy culture has been something that attracted people on a regular basis. Last year, it took a little bit of a different meaning. This year, we had some leadership like Xavier Benson grab a hold of the locker room and get everybody re-engaged. Everybody, not just the players, not just the recruits, not just the commits, the coaches. Everybody is completely bought in to whatever we're cooking in the kitchen right now. That's a positive. And it's positive because of the caliber of guys that we're getting to commit right now, on top of what they're saying about it. Every time that these guys are on campus and they're watching practice and watching scrimmages and they're seeing the facilities and the weight rooms and all that, it does hit different. If you want to go to college for the glitz and the glamour and the fun, go to USC. Do it. Go to Texas. Sure. Go to A&M. Get paid. Awesome. But if you want to excel, not only in football, but also in life as a young man, accountability, discipline, leadership, all of that stuff has to come into play. Some universities care deeply about that stuff. Some don't. I mean, call a spade a spade. Some of these schools give zero hoots about the ongoings on a daily basis of what's happening with all of their student athletes. Oklahoma State is not that away. And if you have the compass, the moral compass, if you will, that guides you as opposed to outside things, places like Oklahoma State are always going to be a perfect fit. And we do know that a lot of kids are going to be kind of swept under the rug in this new recruiting evaluation because of the transfer and all that. When you're a phenomenal football player, you usually stand out significantly, right? Especially in high school. Well, when you play on a defense, just the defense, right? I'm not even talking about the offensive side of the ball in high school. When you're sharing those responsibilities with somebody like a Jonathan Kabaya, who's 5'11", $170, another defensive back right next to him, and he's got offers from places like Arizona State and KU and BYU Tech, right? Ashton Williams, 6 foot, 175, 185 pound defensive back. Got offers from Arizona, Colorado, Kansas State, Texas Tech, SMU, right? Ezi Osundu, defensive end. He's already committed to Cal. These are all 3-star guys that will all have the ability to jump into 4-star. I definitely think that Lando Cleveland and David Kabongo will be 4-stars before they actually come to Oklahoma State University. Could they potentially keep the 3-star because it's O State and not Ohio State? Sure, maybe. But David Kabongo had offers out the wazoo. He could have gone virtually anywhere he wanted other than Stillwater. But this was a decision he made a while ago. But he wanted to go through the entirety of the process. So he was going to wait a few more weeks. But he's just too excited. He likes what he sees too much. And here's the big ticket item. For all y'all that stayed around for this, this is the best part. These dudes are recruiting hardcore. Usually, right, if you have a big-time quarterback, he's pretty good about going to these camps and bringing people along for the ride with him. And last year, we talked about how we only signed 13 kids from the state of Texas, which is abnormal for us in any year. Well, we decided to come back and dip down into the Dallas-Fort Worth area and beyond, and it's working out very, very, very well for us. This recruiting stuff that Brian Nardo has in his back pocket is proverbial magic. And he's sprinkling it on really good. But he's also not sugarcoating anything. Like, he's letting these guys know this is our plan, but if this happens, you could do this. If this happens, you could be this guy. And to be able to not only understand what is being asked of you, but to also be pliable, maneuverable enough, willing enough, vulnerable enough to trust the coach entirely to put you in the right position moving forward, that says a lot about the recruiting that is happening. It says a lot about the development of the relationships, or shall I say, the redevelopment of all the relationships with the coaches in the state of Texas. Everybody's kind of waiting to see what this season looks like, right? We know that it looks good. We know what our schedule is. We know what our two deep is all the way across the board for the most part. So if we continue to develop or redevelop these relationships in the state of Texas and some of the places that maybe have wrote us off for a while, then the doors will get bigger and the recruiting will get better right in TCU's backyard, right where Texas likes to go, right where OU likes to go. And we're having a lot of success. And again, the best part is these dudes are recruiting hardcore like you would typically see out of a quarterback. So they're not going to be the last this week. There should be more coming very, very, very soon. The more the merrier, right? And guys, if we could get Jonathan Agumidu, I might be potentially in poke heaven. I think he's an absolute animal. I think Gunnar Wilson is a potential Malcolm Rodriguez style of guy. This is all on the defensive side of the ball. So what are we doing offensively on the recruiting trail? Well, we'll jump to that. But right now, this is the hot ticket because Brian Nardo is the hot item at Oklahoma State University. Not just because he's new. Does anybody think that a lot of people in the recruiting realm that even thought Oklahoma State was on the list looked at somebody coming from Gannon University and was like, oh, snap, I got to go play for them now? Probably not. It was going to take him getting in the living rooms, him getting to the high schools, him seeing guys in person, in camps, and building those relationships. Because, again, from what everybody that I've talked to is saying, the energy is real. The exuberance of that energy is real. There is no fluff. He's very direct with people. He's very honest with people. He can break down film as to what you need to adjust. He can break down defensive alignment as to what you need to adjust. He can break down schematically what you're doing right now that is going to make you a perfect fit for what we're going to be doing at Oklahoma State. And I know there's some potential fear that Brian Nardo is, in fact, as good as I think he is. And that means he's only here for a few years. I don't see that. It is possible, right? Of course. Things do kind of shift and change occasionally. But he's a Stillwater type of guy. The way that he has worked himself up into the position he is even now, it's impressive. And it's not a lot of bouncing around. It's a lot of loyalty. So whether it's 3 years or 4 years or 8 years, if this is the new trend, okay. If we're going to start getting people like Lando Cleveland and like David Agumidu or Jonathan Agumidu and like David Kabongo, we're in a good spot. Better than good. Actually, we're in a great spot. The concern with last year needs to be washed away with this year. And again, the evidence needs to be on the field. We all know that. But to have somebody like David Kabongo commit way earlier than he wanted to, because of how excited he is, and because he's been on all these other visits and talked to all these other coaches, he sees what's out there, and he knows what we have coming is pretty unique. It is pretty different. And it's mainly due to Brian Nardo. I mean, he showed up, struck gold with Lando Cleveland. And then Willie Nelson as well, right there in the same realm. Another 3-star guy that we were able to scoop up pretty early in the process. So this year, this 3-3-5 that we're running, it's predicated upon the success primarily of the safeties. And now we're getting some big-time safeties in. It's not your typical recruiting that's going on right now. It's not. This is a new side of the recruiting game for us. Coach Hammersmith's been great. Coach Duffy's been great. Coach Dunn in the recruiting trail has been great. Coach Dickey looks to be doing better. And I do think some of that is comfortability. He's now selling something he's very confident in. He's very well aware of everything that should happen. There's no inconsistencies in what his sales pitch or his delivery is going to be because this is his cup of taters. This is Coach Charlie Dickey's area of operation. He should excel in this new power style of game. And if that happens, again, the evidentiary proof is going to be on the field. So if we produce, and we are rushing for 4.5 yards a carry, I hope y'all don't get tired of me saying that because I'm trying to beat it into everybody that doesn't know about Oklahoma State's skulls that we're going to be a contender definitely for the Big 12 title, potentially beyond more. Because if you're contending for a Big 12 title, that in and of itself is going to put you in a pretty good spot moving forward, right? Maybe not a Terry Miller-sized spot. And for those who hadn't heard, Terry Miller was just announced as the next Ring of Honor inductee at Oklahoma State University. That's perfect. I agree. I think she should be the next one. I think the one after him should be Leslie O'Neal. You guys let me know down in the comment section, who do y'all think should be the next Ring of Honor inductee? If it's not Leslie O'Neal, let me know who you think it could possibly be. But yeah, if the players are bought in, coaches are bought in, and now the recruits are starting to buy in, maybe we should too. And I know not y'all, right? But spread the love. There's people out there that still don't fully comprehend what this season will provide for Oklahoma State, what it should provide for Oklahoma State. It's not just a smoke and mirror show, right? We're not the SEC. We're going to have a good year. And I've seen, I watched a little bit of this PlayStation simulation of Arizona State versus Oklahoma State. Phenomenal job on the rosters, but running a completely different offense than we run, running completely different defenses than we run. So it is what it is. And then I've also saw some more predictions for Oklahoma State in 2023. A lot of people have us losing to Arizona State. I don't get it. I watched some of their spring game. There's like 6-7 minutes worth of highlights of their spring game available. They had a couple really salty wide receivers. I'll give them that. The quarterbacks looked pretty good, but nothing spectacular. The running backs did not look very good to me at all. Now, maybe their running back room is just not great. Maybe their offensive line is suffering through some of the problems that a lot of people have, which is we only have one deep. Maybe it's that. Maybe the D-line is so good. But I don't find anything that tells me that Arizona State University is going to beat Oklahoma State. I don't care how passionate your coach is. I don't care how much your coach cries on a podium in front of a camera. I don't care. The proof is always in the pudding, on the field, just like we're going to have to show all of the recruits for the next few classes this coming season. This is an answer year. Everyone's saying we're in rebuild mode. We're in rebuild mode. Well, technically, by the definition of rebuilding, I guess you could say we are. Because we rebuilt the entire offense. We rebuilt the entire defense, right? Schematically, technically, for the most part, all of it is new. So that's a rebuild, I guess. But when you're saying Oklahoma State's a rebuild, and then you're saying that Oklahoma State's probably going to lose to Iowa State, who's also another quote-unquote rebuild, it blows my mind, okay? And a lot of people have us losing to both K-State and KU. No. We've got some get right? We're going to win one of those two games. We have payback coming to somebody. I think it's probably KU, because if we run the style of offense successfully and we keep the ball out of Jalen Daniels' hands, that's a recipe for success. Kansas State, I think, potentially could still be a loss because it's a little bit different tool. We're rebuilding this old school mantra. K-State has lived in this old school mantra forever. So, talent, yeah, we got it. Recruiting, we're getting back on track. Are we going to be able to capitalize on this record? That is the question. I say yes. Obviously, you probably say yes. But there's still a lot of people out there that are riding on the doubt train. Let's get them off of the daggone thing, y'all. But before you do that, make sure you hook them up with FanDuel so they can put their bet in before the line changes. But the positivity, I don't care how small of a positive circle it is. It's time to show up and show out. And it's time for all of us to get this information out there. Because if I keep seeing predictions of us losing to Arizona State, losing to Iowa State, losing to Kansas State, losing to Kansas, losing to OU, I might break stuff, okay? Because it's completely illogical. Mike Gundy, in his worst year, is not going to lose the same amount of games in 2023 as he did in 2005. It's just, it's a preposterous statement for somebody to make that Oklahoma State might win 7 games. It would take us losing like 22 players for that to happen. Maybe not, obviously physically, but figuratively, yes. We're in a much better spot than people realize. We've talked about the transfers that have come in and filled the gaps. We know what Alan Bowman can do whenever he's slinging the rock properly. We know exactly what we have in the running back room right now. We know that we're deeper on the offensive line than we have been in, like I said, 6, 7, 8 years at least. Wide receiver room, everybody's freaking out about some of the guys we lost, but I'm actually extremely pleasantly surprised and impressed with the guys that we brought in. I think Leon Johnson's going to be that Marcel Aitman type of dude. I think Arlen Bruce is going to definitely be that Julian Edelman type of dude. Jaden Bray should be your Tylan Wallace, should be your Justin Blackman, your Des Bryant, that type of dude. DeJon Stribling is way more elusive than I saw on his film at Washington State. So he's going to be a dude. And we haven't even got to Blaine Green. We know what Blaine Green can offer if he can stay healthy. He's a dude. So is David Kabongo. So is Lando Cleveland. So while they're out there working, they're recruiting, hopefully Jonathan Agumidu is on their list of people to try to help get to Stillwater. I really hope so. I hope Gunnar Wilson's on that list as well. We'll know soon. All righty, y'all. That's all we got for this one. Thank you very much for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. It's been a fun ride. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. All righty, y'all. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. And I'll see y'all on the next one.